Welcome back to the Series of Opinions podcast. I'm Moira.
I'm Faith.
I'm KJ.
So we're gonna start by asking if anybody has any recommendations for this week.
I initially had planned that I just wasn't gonna have any recommendations this week because I really hit the listeners with a whole stack last week. I really laid those recommendations on, but then Netflix. Gotta love Netflix.
Of course.
They released Cobra Kai. They bought Cobra Kai from YouTube, Red or Premium or whatever it's called now, and released it on their own platform and have said that they're going to renew it for season 3. So I had watched a bit of it with my parents. My parents borrowed it from a friend who had it on DVD, and we watched it, and that was really great, but I'm only home for a weekend usually at a time. So I didn't get to watch all of it. I missed the beginning of season 1 and all except for one episode of season 2. And I wanted to know what happened. So I binged the whole thing this weekend in 2 days. Both season 1 and 2.
Incredible.
What is
really
it?
Good. So it is a reboot of the 80s films Karate Kid. It's a television series that reboots Karate Kid. And has the original actor that played Danny and the original actor that played Johnny. And they're adults now. And it's really good.
Okay, I've seen it on the top trending in Canada on Netflix.
Yeah, if you liked
I
Karate
saw it on
Kid,
there, but
you'll like Cobra Kai. It's really good.
that's awesome. Yeah.
I was a big fan of what they went with. It also has Tanner Buchanan in it as one of the kids, and he was in Designated Survivor, but he literally looks like Ryder Strong did in the 90s. It looks like somebody just cloned Ryder Strong.
I saw that on Twitter, and I was like, who is this face? This face looks so familiar. It's Charlie Gardner from Girl Meets World.
Yes, he was also on
that's who that is.
Yeah.
I was
and he's really good in the series as well. But every time I see him, and they really dress his character in a very 90s way, and I'm like, is that Ryder Strong?
Is it?
Did Ryder Strong somehow age down suddenly overnight?
I love it.
And their characters aren't that different than, Sean Hunter and Robbie Keane have a lot in common, too.
I love that so much.
That's pretty much my only recommendation this week. I guess aside from the fact that XOXO Riverdale shouted me out on their podcast.
Of course, have to mention that briefly.
They read a tweet that I tweeted about their podcast on the podcast, and I was really excited about it.
Yeah, valid. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was very excited about it. That's all I have.
Okay. I have a couple things. I've been rediscovering the live-action Lion King soundtrack. So that's been... I don't know why. I just randomly thought of John Oliver singing. I guess probably because of last week's episode, talking about Last Week Tonight. But that just popped into my head, so I've been rediscovering how great that soundtrack is. I've been super binging every single one of Peter Mon with 2 N's, his videos on YouTube. He's this super funny, no offense, middle-aged guy that, he has 5 YouTube channels. One is about YouTube drama, and one's about reviewing things. It's just wonderful, and he's such a joy, and you feel like you're just sitting in the car with him, driving around, and, he's so funny. He's so great. So I would definitely recommend him. He's great, and so funny, and just, I don't know, one of those people you watch when you need to lighten the mood after binging true crime. And then speaking of, I have been finally catching up on Obsessed with Disappeared, our mandatory mention of something Obsessed Network related. I have absolutely been just loving their podcast. They're so great together.
It's so good. They just started
Ellen and Patrick
2.
are amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, things escalate.
Yeah. So I'm getting caught up on that, which has been just absolutely just. I'm obsessed. I'm just obsessed.
Incredible.
Where have you had time to watch anything this week?
Barely, but one thing I'm gonna recommend is the Hunter Brothers, which is a music group. I just got the notification that it's been a year today since I saw them in concert last.
Wow.
And it just came up, and I've been listening to them all day long. They're an amazing Canadian country band, and they're great. I love listening to their music. It's getting me through today. It's great.
Amazing.
And we're talking about like Peter Mann, and it reminded me of like Brandon Ferris, who is a YouTuber who I watch on a daily basis.
Love it.
Just do funny videos. It's one of the only YouTubers that I watch consistently. So I recommend that. He's absolutely wonderful and just does stupid things on the internet. And it's great.
Amazing. And then, of course, to get into today's topic, we obviously recommend Heartland.
Absolutely.
Or else we wouldn't have done a whole episode on it because,
exactly.
We love it.
This
So
is
much.
our first spotlight episode just about Heartland.
Today we're going to be discussing Heartland, which is a Canadian TV show. And it's something that all three of us are very obsessed with, and it's very near and dear to our hearts. So,
definitely.
Good luck. I'm sorry. It's going to be great.
Put your seatbelt on, strap yourself in, put the windshield wipers on, like, we're going.
So, basic overview of the show is that it's a multi-generational family drama that first aired on October 14th, 2007, and
wow.
season 13. I know. I remember watching the very first episode as little 6-year-old Moira, and I'm like,
Aww.
oh my god. It's terrifying.
The first episode is rough. I will say that those first 5 minutes would be really hard to watch it at the age of 6. I have to say.
I almost didn't watch it after episode 1, and I'm so glad that my mother was like, you should watch episode 2 with me. Because now it's my favorite show.
You were super obsessed with it from then on.
Yeah, rest of my life. Season 13 of the show just aired in the fall of 2019, and it has officially been renewed for season 14, which they are hoping to air in 2021 if COVID ever, doesn't. Yeah.
If COVID itself stops airing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can just stop with that.
Yeah. I saw on Michelle Morgan's Facebook page that she's going to film Heartland starting next week. And
she plays
living
Lou
for it.
For people that
she plays Lou.
Or don't know actors.
Yes. So I'm very excited. Another thing I wanted to add in about Heartland is that on March 29th, 2015, Heartland became the longest running 1-hour scripted drama in Canadian television.
Wow.
And I looked up what episode that was, and it was Amy and Ty's wedding. It was the end of season 8. And I'm like, of course.
Of course. That's so amazing.
It's always really fitting. Like, it feels really satisfying when a show that you like passes that mark. A season or two ago, Grey's Anatomy passed ER for the longest running, like, medical drama. And, like, it was really satisfying. They had to pass, like, 300 and some episodes to pass that. Like, it was a big deal.
2015 is a little bit long ago, so season 8 was when they passed. And they're
long ago. It's going to be hard for another show to pass them.
Yeah, because they're going to start filming season 14. Like,
yeah, like Heartland is one of those shows, like, it's like those, like, soap opera shows that it can go forever. It can just go forever and ever and ever.
Please?
There's no end in sight.
If anybody who works in the production end of Heartland ends up listening to this episode, like, guys, if you could just please, like, just keep going.
Forever, please.
Yeah, we'll follow we don't need, I mean, as much as it pains me to say the words I'm about to say, like, we don't even care if, like, Amy and Ty aren't around anymore. Like, there's enough family members, so we can keep this going with a new generation.
Exactly. There's so many.
We need.
Yeah, there's so many branches off of the generations that it really could just spin off after just keep going.
We'll follow Georgie for a while, and then we'll follow Katie, and then we'll follow Lindy. We'll just do it.
Exactly. When they did the short spin-off series Hudson, I thought that was the end for Heartland, but they continued.
Really?
And yeah, I was mentally preparing, but Hudson was really good. The small spin-off series about Jade.
I still haven't watched it. I've still only seen the trailer.
Good.
The trailer looked fun. I know that because
some of
really
them are
short,
like, yeah, you can sit and watch all of them in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So recommend, go do that.
Mm-hmm. It's been on my list and then I just like forget about it, but I am gonna have to do that, I think, because it looked good and I like Jade.
Yeah.
So so now that we've mentioned a whole bunch of characters, maybe we want to introduce a character each.
For sure. I feel like I should start because I have Amy, so
of course.
Who's like, the unofficial main character.
Yeah.
It's never explicitly stated that she's the main character, but we all just know she is.
She is. Amy Fleming is played by Amber Marshall. At the beginning of the series, we start off with Amy as a freshman in high school and coping with the death of her mother, which occurs in episode 1. So we see her like trying to channel her energy into like working and healing horses and do what her mother did with that. And then we get to watch her grow throughout the series as she becomes like an accomplished horsewoman, like with her own business. And in season 4, she graduated high school, and in season 6, she gets engaged, which, as I'm writing this, boggles my mind because. What? How did I accept this as a thing? Because she'd be the same age that Faith and I are right now. And
wow.
No.
I would like to go to the show's defense here. And say a couple of things. So one thing is that her fiance, now husband, is a few years older than her, which we're going to talk about later. But also, like, Amy went through some trauma at a young age, like 14. Okay. Not only did Amy have to deal with her mom dying, she was also in the same accident with her mom. So, like, she was also physically injured and then also, like, witnessed the whole thing. So, like, that's like a little extra trauma.
So much traumatic experiences. So awful.
Which made her grow up. But also, like, she's also been running her own business since she was 14.
Since 14? Yeah.
So, like, she definitely has had a lot of adult experience. So even though she's, like, physically young, I feel like she's not your average person in terms of, like, life experience. She's had a lot more life experience than I think most of us have had at our age in terms of, like, you know, adult experience, like, working and having your own business and...
Mm-hmm. And, like, I get, like, for most people, like, if you're not going to school, you graduate high school, and then you get married. Like, that's a next step. That's the next natural step. Like, for me, I'm like, no thank you, but there are people that I know that are, like, in that area right now, which terrifies me.
Yeah, we have. We know people that are our age that are married or that have kids or like, you know, already, and we're all too busy with school to do any of those things. Like that's so much work.
Literally.
And we don't know how they do it because it's just so much work and it's such important work to like, be in such a serious relationship or to be like raising a child. Like,
I support you. I cheer you on. Good luck, I'm out. Like, I couldn't do it myself.
In like 5 or 6 years, when I'm like potentially ready to even think about doing that, I'll be coming to them for advice because they'll have the experience. So I think it definitely when you say like, oh, like she graduated high school in season 4 and then in season 6 she got engaged, you're like, oh, like that seems like she's not really old enough, but also like
when you watch it through, it makes sense.
Most people graduate high school and then they start working and then they start their own business, maybe, if that's something that they want to do. Like, they get some other work experience first. But she'd already been doing her own business.
She already had her business established. Like, she was a strong businesswoman at 16 years old. And, I mean, I support.
Yeah. Don't know how she managed to do her math homework and do business at the same time, but...
Yeah. You know, also she got married in season 8, so 2 years after that. Okay. She has a baby in season 10, and it's wonderful. Most adorable child, probably ever.
And running a business this whole time, in some form. Yeah. Throughout.
That's all I have to say about the wonderful person that Amy is.
I am going to talk about Mallory. Mallory Wells, portrayed by Jessica Amelie. She probably is my favorite character. Honestly, I was surprised doing this because, like, as you're writing about all these characters, you're like, they're also great.
Yeah.
And I ended up, like, appreciating more characters than I thought that I would. But I think that Mallory's still holds my number one spot. She first appears in season 1 when she is 12 years old. She's introduced as this annoying neighbor to the Bartletts. The character is reoccurring until season 7, at which time she is 18 years old. She is a chatterbox and extremely observant. She often comments on the more subtle drama going on between the other characters, specifically between couples, and a lot of the time between Amy and Ty.
Mallory always has the tea.
She always has all the tea before the tea was even a thing. She is nosy and persistent and is arguably one of the most beloved characters in Heartland's history. Her love interest through the seasons include Badger, who I forgot about.
You forgot about Badger?
And Jake. I don't know why I forgot about Badger when I was looking up, like, actual specifics about episodes and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, Badger. I loved him and I loved them together, but of course, like, Jake and Mallory.
Forever.
A young cowboy, of course. And, of course, she ends up marrying Jake. In season 7, Mallory leaves with Jake to go to Paris. She then returns. We get a Mallory return in season 10 for 2 episodes where we get updates on her and Jake's status, and we eventually get to see her agree to marry him. Season 10, episode 14. Mallory is super hilarious and likable, and just someone who I think that it's something that the show really needs, because it can be so drama-centered, obviously, because it's a drama show, but she's such a great addition of, like, comedic timing and just, like, silliness, and she's supposed to be annoying, but she's just so lovable.
Yeah, she's very endearing.
Yeah.
Like, all the characters are, like, annoyed with her all the time, but also they're like, oh, yeah, we're annoyed, but that's Mallory.
Yeah,
exactly.
We love her anyways.
She just forces herself into this family, and they love her so much. Like, they would do anything for her.
Yeah, for sure.
Who did you have, KJ?
The first character I'm going to talk about is Ashley Stanton.
Okay.
She's portrayed by Cindy Busby, and although she starts out as Amy's rival, a very, like, spoiled mean girl, we come to find Ashley to be, like, not awful. She has a very tough relationship with her mom, especially once her brother is away at private school or whatever. We don't ever really... Her brother comes back for a couple episodes. He's in, like, 2 episodes, and then he leaves, and then he comes back in, like, season, like, 8, and then... And we kind of know where he's been, but who cares? So it's mostly just Ashley and her mom, Val, and Val is one of those, like, nightmare moms that screams from the sidelines and is more invested in Ashley's, like, life and her, like, equestrian career than Ashley is. And Ashley's, like, entire personality is, like, super over the top, so, like, when she rebels, like, she just rebels hard.
All the way.
Like, so that's when she starts hanging out with Caleb, and doing, like, rodeo instead of show jumping, and then apparently that's lowbrow. I don't know how show jumping people in real life feel about rodeo, but the show is like show jumping people hate rodeo. Ashley, like, moves out and she lives at Heartland for a bit, and then she lives with Caleb, and she works at the Dude Ranch for a bit, and then her main job that we see her doing is she works as a waitress at Maggie's. Essentially, that's, like, the first couple times in her life that she used to work for anything. Her parents are rich. And then her and Caleb have, like, an on and off relationship for a while. They elope around when Ashley drops out of high school. And they work really hard on their relationship for a while, and it was a really good relationship. But then Ashley decides that she wants to go to college, and she moves to BC. And then she asks Caleb for a divorce. And then the last time that we saw her, because Ashley also had a return episode, was that she came back, and we found out she's with somebody new, and she just came back to hurt Caleb a little bit, because why not?
Yeah,
no,
really.
I actually love Ashley. I just think that was a mean thing for the show to do.
I know. I think
that they ruined a lot of Ashley character development by doing that.
They did. They really did.
And I think that there's, like, just a point around, like, season 4 or so when Ashley and Caleb are just, like, struggling financially, but they're both working really hard, both at their jobs and on their relationship, and they're really happy together. And I just think that's, like, such a huge deal considering where Ashley started from. And the only thing I just wanted to add is that it's crazy how mean Ashley is to Amy in season 1 about her mom dying, considering that Ashley's dad died at some point in the timeline before the show started. Which means that she should be full of empathy for this situation where her classmate's mom died. Like, Ashley's dad died. She should have so much empathy for somebody else who just lost a parent, and she's so mean about it. I don't know why the writers didn't just, like, make her parents divorced or something.
Yeah, true.
I think that would have been much better if her parents were just, like, divorced. And then also, like, when her mom gets sick, like, I think that, like, Ashley should have been, like, way more afraid than she was because she already lost a parent. And it's like the show's just like, her dad's dead, but, like, she's not going to act like it at all.
Yeah.
So I think the show maybe, like, mishandled Ashley a bit, but we really like her. She's really, like, a classic Heartland character. She had some good character development. I think the show mishandled her at times, but she had good character development overall. She went from a mean girl to someone that we actually liked and cared about and were sad to see go.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now we're going to take a little break from introducing some characters.
Because there's a lot of characters.
So many characters. And we're going to discuss our favorite episode.
A lot to choose from, for sure.
Yeah.
Who wants to start off?
I'll start.
Okay. I'm really interested to see what you guys pick.
Yeah.
So this was really hard. I'd say the episode that I've rewatched the most is the plane crash episode, which is season 3, episode 10, Eye of the Wolf.
Really?
A very good one.
Yeah, it's very good. Mm-hmm. But I think my actual favorite episode is probably season 3, episode 1, Miracle.
Oh, okay.
What an episode.
And I think part of the reason, like, that's, like, where the Miracle Girl video comes from. And, like, the Miracle Girl title comes from that episode.
Yeah.
Like, that's where that gets started. But I think what I really love about the episode is, like, one actual particular scene. And it's the scene where Ty's out in his garage and, like, he just got Amy onto the school bus on time. And then he's, like, in his garage and the radio's on. And the radio reports that there's been a school bus accident. And he knows that it's Amy's school bus. And he just, like, jumps in his truck, and then Jack runs out of the house and is like, wait, I'm coming with you, because he also was in the house listening to the radio and heard the same thing. And, like, it's just both, like, we're gonna go and make sure she's okay in person. Like, we're not gonna wait for a phone call. We're just gonna jump in the car and just go right now. And, like, it was just really, like, oh, like, those two love Amy. Like, obviously her grandfather loves her, but, like, and plus, that was, like, Amy and Ty's, like, first go at a relationship, like, the first time that they were in a relationship, and it was, like, really solid still.
True.
They'd never had any fights or any breakups to that point, really. Like, knowing how their relationship goes and some of the rocky patches, like, end up being, but knowing that they end up back in this, like, loving place that they were in this episode, like, really comforts me when I rewatch. I'm like, they're gonna get back here.
I love that.
Plus all the Miracle Girl stuff. Like, what Amy does in that episode is amazing.
Yeah,
and, like,
totally.
Calming that horse down and, like, basically saving it. Like,
I had a really hard time picking.
It's so hard.
I thought that it would be easy. I don't know why. I thought, oh, well, obviously I have to have a favorite episode. But I rewatched a bunch of scenes and thought about it. I was almost going to pick Amy and Ty's wedding episode because, like, it's such a build-up of so many seasons of rooting for them to work, and they finally work.
And
but
it's beautiful.
I kind of assumed that Moira was gonna pick that one, and their vows are just beautiful, and I get emotional.
Everything about that one's beautiful.
Everything is so beautiful. But I actually picked season 13, episode 3, Rearview Mirrors, where we learn about Jack's sister June and what happens to her.
That's a really good episode.
Yeah, that is fantastic episode.
Before I had such a hard time about it, I obviously was live tweeting this at the time that it originally aired.
Of course, obviously.
And obviously I was tweeting a whole bunch about how amazing June was, because June was an amazing character that we didn't know anything about, really.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we had this whole episode that was, like, very June-centric.
Yeah.
I tweeted, like, at the actress that played June a whole bunch of times, and she, like, liked and, like, retweeted and tweeted back to me, like, on almost all of them. She was super
okay.
She was very excited that she was on this show that was getting watched, I guess. But I was really excited about it. It's such a beautiful episode.
Yeah, and the actress did such a great job.
Yeah. Tell the listeners about it.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously, like, for this whole podcast episode, like, major spoilers, of course. But through well-placed flashbacks throughout the episode, we learn that Jack's that Jack has a sister, and she died when they were both young. His sister June urges him to follow his dream of making it big in the rodeo scene and flee their drunk, abusive dad. He leaves, meaning that, like, he does leave for the rodeo, meaning that June must pick up the slack at the ranch.
Which is what she wants, I'd like to say. Yeah. June wants to take over the ranch, like.
Yeah.
Yes, totally wants him to go, wants him to be happy and try this, and then wants to stay on the ranch and be part of the work there, and eventually, take it over. June must pick up the slack, which she's totally fine with. She takes over Jack's job of driving the stone boat and dies in a really terrible accident while doing that job. This results in a lot of guilt, obviously, on Jack's part, because he blames himself for not being there and for her dying so young doing a job that used to be his. So while it is a lot sadder than a lot of the other Heartland episodes, this episode also goes much deeper than other episodes do and makes a lot of sense for Jack's character, I think. He's so protective of his granddaughters, which, I mean, obviously.
And his great-granddaughters. He's 3 of those now, too. Don't worry about.
By season 13, I think Jack is, holds a special place in everybody's hearts.
So much.
So, overall, I just think that this episode is really well formatted with the really cool and well-done flashback scenes.
Yeah,
and it's obviously
beautiful.
Yeah, it's so well done that it's well, blended, almost, that he's watching, Amy with a horse, but then it, flashes back to thinking about June.
Mm-hmm.
And it's overall just really, really emotional, and there's great storytelling, great acting, and I think it's written really well.
Yeah, something I wanted to say this, about this episode in particular was, I think in the episode, Georgie has, a similar accident.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe it's Georgie. Yeah, she's a very similar accident. And Jax obviously is a big reaction because he's been remembering his sister so much throughout the episode. Even way back before this, long before this episode ever would have been even conceived or written, back from the early seasons, anytime Amy's working with a team of horses or a wagon or anything, and she screws up or she gets dragged or anything like that, Amy's gotten dragged a couple of times as well. Jack freaks out.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know, maybe they've always had this backstory for Jack and they just didn't know where to put it. Maybe the writers have always had this for him, but
yeah, maybe, yeah.
If they haven't, then it's just worked out really well to be good foreshadowing. But he has a very specific reaction whenever anything somewhat similar to this happens.
Yeah, totally, yeah. I think that Heartland episodes, to me, can feel sometimes like they just needed to, fill up X number of episodes, just for some of them. Some of them obviously are well done and well thought out, but sometimes I feel sometimes they just, okay, let's just have the characters do this and nothing major happens.
Very fair.
But this one in particular, I think, is just so meaningful and so well done and so well thought out for who the character is. Just like you said, you could argue, that it's been foreshadowed for years and years.
Yeah, and then we just as viewers didn't know this backstory.
Exactly. Yeah, foreshadowed for us.
If the writers said we planned this,
yeah,
I would believe them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
There would be specific examples of that they could show us and be oh yeah, of course, that's what this reaction was about. It wasn't just that it was Amy and obviously he loves Amy. It was it's he loves Amy, his granddaughter. Also, what's happening to her reminds him of this specific thing.
Exactly, this terrible loss that he's had. So, Moira, what's your favorite episode?
Favorite episode isn't Amy and Ty's wedding, then I'm excited to find out what it actually is.
Yeah.
It's not.
Wow.
Okay, I'm extra excited to find out what it is then.
Okay. So, favorite episode is the entire series because
of
I'm
course.
obsessed. But for my favorite episode, I picked the episode that I rewatched the most and just love, and it's near and dear to my heart. So, my favorite episode is season 2, episode 14, Do or Die. So, this is the episode where Clint Riley, brings 2 kids on probation, Badger and Tara, to come and visit Heartland for the weekend to try and add some Heartland love into their lives.
I mean, it worked for Ty, so obviously all children are the
exactly.
same.
Yeah, that's Clint's like one like claim to fame is like, hey, but look how good Ty turned out. Like, let's keep doing that.
Yeah. So we get to see like Ty working and not accepting the fact that he wants to help Badger and Tara in any way. He wants to just leave it and doesn't want to discuss it at all. I watched the first 5 minutes of this episode today just to remember Tara's name because I could not remember for the life of me. Because Badger comes back after this, but we only get to see Tara in this episode. And Ty and Kit are dating at this point.
Oh, man.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
What a time.
I always thought that Amy, like, overreacted to the whole Kit thing. Like, Amy's side of the Kit being mad thing was dumb. But, like, the more I like her, I'm like, if Kit had just, like, shut up and got over it, they would have made up eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Kit staying mad for so long really fueled the fire.
Yeah, true.
Very true. One of my favorite things about this episode is we get to see Ty open up to Amy about his family life before Heartland and what his relationship with his father and his stepdad. So
yeah,
that was really nice. It's one of my favorite scenes. And we also get to see Goth Mallory.
Oh, I saw pictures of that when I was trying to look up, like, funny quotes that she has said. Gosh, how classic. I love that.
What a great, like, part that was. I just loved getting to see that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, we're gonna move on to more character descriptions.
I have the one and the only Caleb Odell, portrayed by Carrie James. So my first note for this says a serious heartthrob, because that's the first thing that I thought of. He gets the nickname Odalicious.
If you didn't say it, I was going to.
I know,
literally,
immediately.
In early seasons. This is like, it's so just, like, encapsulates the fact that we, like, kind of grew up with this show. And all through high school and middle school, we just obsessed over this show because, Caleb will always have a special place in my heart because he is so beautiful.
He's not like any worse looking as the seasons have gone on.
Oh, absolutely. No. So he is hired by Jack as a ranch hand in season 2. This is the beginning of this arguably strange, now looking back on it, strange love triangle between Amy and Ty and Amy and Caleb, which weirdly no one mentions anymore.
It also evolved into an Amy, Ashley, Caleb love triangle for like a couple episodes too.
Yes, also that. I guess Caleb knows Ty and Amy are like the most made for each other couple there's ever been, so he just like never mentions it again that he had feelings for Amy. And I guess this is also
Tim mentioned it once whenever Amy and Ty were like broken up in the middle of their engagement. Because Amy was really upset about that breakup with Ty, and then Tim mentioned that she was dating Caleb, and she's like, yeah, I dated Caleb for 5 minutes.
Yeah, true. He's 19 in season 2 and is recurring throughout all seasons, and he's currently 30 in season 13. Looking
really?
Right? Like, it doesn't seem like he could be that old. Like, it seems like
he's not living life old, like he's 19 to 22.
Yeah, exactly. It felt weird to like compare the ages to the seasons. Like, how could it?
Even now when he's making grown-up decisions, he still has like this like young guy.
Oh, definitely. Like, it feels like he's like 25, like max, like super max. So he spends many seasons chasing Ashley, eventually marrying her for a short period of time, as KJ mentioned before. He struggles with pain pill and alcohol addiction.
For one season.
For one season.
Episode.
Well, yeah.
At one time.
That episode's about to be talked about, so.
Yes. And then also goes through bouts of depression after his divorce with Ashley. Mm-hmm. He is a rodeo cowboy that is also a partner of Tim's rodeo school in current seasons. He's now married to the coworker of Ty's, Cassandra, who works as a vet with Ty. And he's also the godfather to Lindy, who is Ty and Amy's daughter. So cute. He is currently expecting his first child with Cassandra as of season 13, which is so exciting. He's going to be such a great dad. He's such a goofball.
Also, their kids are going to be really close in age.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Caleb is a super likable and passionate character. He's really stubborn and makes dumb decisions a lot of the time, which makes him all the more believable and likable because he's consistently kind of short-sighted almost sometimes. He adds a lightheartedness to the show and has a really distinct personality all the way through all the seasons that he's been on. He's a super great character, I think, that is just so likable, and you've gotten to see him grow from this kid, this rodeo cowboy 19-year-old kid, and into this man who knows, like, you know, he knows he wants to have kids and knows, you know, what he values and still makes dumb decisions. Like, there's still that aspect of his character, and he's still, like, goofy, but he's so likable and is such a great character, I think.
His dumb decisions that come from, like, a much better place now, I feel like.
Yeah,
much
totally.
More, like, wanting to do the right thing and just not knowing how to get there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He has great intentions. To be a little self-centered.
Yeah, he has really good intentions, I think, now. So even though he has this mind and this personality that is, like, kind of impulsive almost and childish, totally, yeah, he has good intentions.
I mean, he is a rodeo cowboy. I feel like it's canonical that he's had a few concussions.
Oh, absolutely. There's some kind of damage there for sure.
Oh, but he's just so sweet, and like he's so really
sweet.
Cute.
So I'm going to talk about Scott.
Oh, Cardinal, I love Scott.
I know. He's played by Nathaniel Archan, which I totally pronounced wrong. Scott is the family vet who met the, like, Fleming Bartlett family when he became, in quotes, one of Marion's projects.
Right.
In the way that Ty was supposed to be.
Yeah.
He was Lou's Ty.
Exactly. So he lived in the loft before this series began, and, like, Lou and him basically grew up together and had a crush on each other and all that stuff that we got to see through Amy and Ty. In the early seasons, Lou and Scott date. I still believe they should be endgame, but that's controversial, apparently.
Do we know?
I totally agree.
I'm sure you're about to tell us if we do, but do we know if he has a partner? Because I know, like, around the time that Katie was born, he was with somebody. And then we don't really see him too much anymore.
Because he's not
around
mentioned enough in late seasons that we mention his characters. Like, as extra people.
Yeah, we don't get to see him very much. Like, he's not, like, an actual main character, like, in these seasons. Yeah, he used to be. But now he's more of just, like, we get to see him for, like, 20 seconds in an episode. There's not, like, an actual plot anymore, which I wish there was.
Yeah. Honestly, I keep waiting for them to bring him back, which is so sad. But we also get to see Scott take Ty under his wing and, like, let him help out at his vet clinic, which eventually leads to Ty becoming a vet and being amazing.
And that's kind of why we don't see Scott anymore, because Ty's a grown-up vet now.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need anyone to teach him what to do.
Exactly.
So we don't need to see him learn.
Exactly. But we love Scott. Scott is a great character who I think added a lot to how Ty developed, and I think that was really great.
I don't know how I feel about this Lou and Scott getting back together. I think out of all the guys that Lou could potentially has dated but might get back together with and have them be endgame, I think Scott would be on the top of that list, but I'd also be fine if she just, like, didn't.
I know, I'm more over, like, Lou just being by herself for a bit, you know?
Yeah,
or just meeting somebody totally new.
Yeah. Like, I think as far as
getting back together with her ex-husband, but
yeah. Yeah, I think that, like, for a long time I wanted Lou and Scott to get together, like, for Scott's sake, because he loved her for so long, and she just either didn't reciprocate it or couldn't love him the way that he loved her. But I think that, like, they're just too different, I think, to, like, actually make it work. I don't think she would ever... I don't know. What would they even talk about? I mean, I guess they grew up together, but, like,
they would never actually work. But, you know, in my happy little place, I want it to work.
Absolutely, in my heart.
Really sweet couple. And like, he was around, like, when the Dude Ranch was, like, first opening and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of why they broke up in the first place. But,
like, he's such a sweet guy, and he's such a sweet character.
I think they're really supportive of each other's, like, small businesses. And I think that they're, like... I'd like to see that they're, like, still friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Want that friendship, at least.
I had this thing to say, but I've forgotten it. But yeah, I love Scott. He's one of my favorites. I would really like to see him get back.
Yeah, I'd like for him to get, like...
Okay.
yeah, exactly. For him to get some kind of plot himself, like, to have some real, you know, development and updates as far as Scott goes.
Yeah, I'd like to find out if he made it work with that woman that had the kid that he was with right around when Lou had a baby. Yeah. Like, Scott was with someone that had a kid and, like, knew how to deal with kids. I'd like to know if he made it work with that woman and if he's still really involved in raising that child. If so, I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah. Let's make it happen. Let's go.
That child's gotta be old enough to have a horse by now.
Exactly.
And Scott used to also bring a lot of clients to the
Very
ranch.
True.
Like, he used to always be dropping by clients, and he's just stopped doing that, which feels a little rude, to be honest. Yeah. I guess it's because, like, now that Ty, like, does the vet clinic right at the ranch, they're competitive now, but they seems like they're also still part of the same business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
meshes.
Ty uses the clinic to, like, run labs and stuff all the time. So he must still be somewhat affiliated with the clinic.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
So
they're not specific.
And either way, like, when you need Amy to do the Amy thing, you can still bring the horses there.
Exactly.
And he just hasn't done that in a long time, and it makes me sad. We miss Scott. That's the thesis of this whole episode.
Yeah.
Shane Grenier was only on the show for a couple of seasons. Honestly, he's only had, like, a third as many episodes that he's credited to have on IMDb as, like, Georgie's current friends.
Oh, like, my God.
He's only been on, like, a third of the episodes as, like, Adam or Wyatt, but it's fine. So he's Amy and Lou's half-brother through their father, Tim. And I think he was, like, 11 when he found out that Tim was his father, and it was really hard on pretty much everybody involved.
Yeah.
The whole family took it pretty hard. But he was definitely pretty close with Amy and shared her love of horses and, you know, seemed to like spending time there. He was played by Sam Duke, who, just an FYI, is an adult now, and is pretty good looking. It feels weird to say that Shane was good looking because Shane was, like, a baby. But Sam Duke's an adult now, and I'd just like to say he looks pretty good. I have a huge soft spot for Shane, as my co-hosts know.
Yes, of course.
It's not so much that I have a soft spot for, like, the Shane character that we've had on the show, but, like, the Shane I'd like to have back now on the show is what I have a soft spot for. Literally, I'd be happy to see him for, like, one episode. I'd like to see a Shane return episode where we find out that Shane turned out okay and that he has a really good reason for never visiting his sisters or his 3 beautiful nieces.
Yeah.
So if the writers could, like, get on that would be really great.
Yeah.
I just want to know he's okay and that, like, Tim didn't screw him up too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, finding out that Tim was his father wasn't, like, a totally damaging experience. There's not a whole lot really to say about Shane. He's, like, a pretty angry kid during his time on the show. Mostly because, you know, his whole life gets turned upside down and everything. But, you know, eventually his parents, like, secretly date for a little while. And, like, he has this, like, little hope that his family's gonna get back together, and then they don't. So, that's a bummer.
Yeah, super bummer.
Really a bummer for everybody. I think Tim could have used a solid relationship in his life. I mean, not that I don't like some of the relationships he's had since then, and it probably wouldn't have worked out well between them, but it would have been nice for Shane, and probably, I guess, for Amy and Lou, too, if, like, they just, like, made it work as a family.
Yeah.
Since, you know, like, Amy and Lou's, like, mom and dad never had a chance to, like, reconcile. Like, they never made up. Yeah. They never really, like, had a moment where they forgave each other, anything like that. It would have just been nice if, like, one of the siblings had gotten that.
Yeah,
and Shane
totally.
was, like, the one chance.
True.
Yeah. I definitely like Shane. I think he's a really, really cute character. He's really likable.
Yeah. He's like a real sweetie, and he like loves Amy so much, and it makes me sad that they haven't brought him back. Like he didn't come to the wedding, and like he hasn't. They
just don't mention him.
Yeah, they just don't even act. They act like he doesn't even exist. Even in like the episodes where we like talk about like the naming day ceremonies and like the stones and everything, like times where we're talking about family members that we don't see, it would just be nice. Also, I can't believe they haven't given freaking Mallory a stone yet.
Oh, honestly, true.
I never thought about that till right now, but now I'm just like, everybody has a stone except for Mallory.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
Actually, Tim doesn't have a stone either, but...
Oh. Yeah, well, he's done some things over the years, so...
I feel like Peter doesn't have one either, but like...
Peter got one.
Peter got one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like he does. Yeah, I feel like he does.
This was an episode plot that they fixed.
Yeah.
Because they realized
Peter
that he didn't have one, so that... Yeah.
Okay.
And, like, Lisa also recently got one as well.
Yes.
Everybody has one. I like, and like that's the time. It's like because Shane has a stone, and it would be nice to mention it once in a while.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like Amy's now been surrounded on like all of the sides, and if one more person puts their stone beside Amy's, I'm gonna have an issue. Because that Ty's is beside Amy on one side, and then Shane's is beside her on the other side, and then Lou's on the other side of that, and then like Lindy is like right above Amy and Ty.
Yeah.
And like we're running out of sides for Amy to be next to people.
Everyone wants to be next to Amy.
Like how we said Amy wasn't the main character, but really she is.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's all I really have about Shane. It's just I love him and I wish we could have him back for an episode.
Yes, I super agree.
So now we're going to move on and discuss our least favorite episodes
of
the series.
Buckle in.
Yeah, buckle in.
Yeah.
My least favorite episode is called Spin Out. It's season 3, episode 16, and we already alluded to it. So there's two main plots in the episode. One is that Caleb becomes addicted to pain meds after his big wreck in Montana. And then the other is that Jack and Lisa are being really secretive about their engagement, and then Lou goes crazy, being control freak and jealous because she's already engaged and about to get married, but not really. Her wedding's like months away. But not really.
Yeah.
And then Jack and Lisa decide that they aren't going to get married after all because they forget a little bit about it, and Lou makes them feel really bad about it, and they just decide not to get married. It's really just people being like deeply flawed through the whole episode, and I just don't have time for it.
Yeah.
Everybody is so permissive of Caleb's addiction, and then they aren't, and then they're really assholes about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like, he's fine, like, he had a big wreck, like, just coddle him a little bit, and then, like, oh, no, like, you need to stop right now, and if you don't, like, we're just gonna throw you out, and we're not gonna support you at all. Like, there's no in-between, there's no support.
No.
The highlight of the episode is Tim talking about his own addiction, and he doesn't even do that great of a job. He's a bit of an asshole about it, and, like, Tim should never be the absolute highlight of any episode.
No, very true.
And then this whole, like, Lou versus Lisa wedding thing is just, like, its own brand of terrible, and I just don't like this episode at all. It's really not great. It's not my favorite. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's so
they
fair.
They don't handle addiction super well. They don't handle this whole, like, two people can be engaged in the same family at the same time, and it's fine. There's no reason for that not to be allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lou treats Lisa like crap for most of the series, and it's one of my least favorite things about Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah, it's really not a good look for Lou. All of it. It's really not the way that she treats Lisa.
I don't know if it's because, like, Lou's an adult when Lisa comes into their lives, but Amy treats Lisa so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my least favorite episode.
Fair. I like it. I like nice and concise.
Yeah, I try not to do my usual thing.
Yeah, and you explained it really good. I like it. I just focused on the one part of the episode that bothers me the most. I don't know what else happens in the episode because I hate this part too much to even rewatch it. Okay, so my least favorite episode is season 8, episode 1, called There and Back Again.
I already know what you hate.
Where Amy returns from Europe after Prince Ahmed has showered her with a lush and lavish lifestyle, and then it is also revealed that he has kissed her. I hated it then. I hate it now. This just does not jive with the Amy that we have grown to know for all these seasons. I don't think she would have ever accepted this trip, all the gifts he gives her. She definitely wouldn't have let him kiss her. I think that Prince Ahmed the storyline is way too far over the line of being like hokey and almost like fan fiction type writing.
True.
It's bad because like there's a whole
It's bad.
The whole preceding season has Ahmed in it.
Yeah.
So we know that Ahmed knows that Amy's engaged to Ty at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they're engaged. He knows it. It's very clear.
It's very clear there's a big build up, like we have to see it coming for friggin' forever.
Amy's done this before. And I feel like it's almost the exact same thing as like the most comparable situation to this that the show had in the early seasons was like the Chase Powers thing. Where almost the same situation plays out, where Amy agrees to do something she wouldn't usually agree to do because it's going to be good for her career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
The person offering her the opportunity is motivated by like a romantic fantasy that he has of the two of them together.
Yeah, exactly.
It really just ruins Amy's relationship with Ty both times.
Exactly. And it like just kind of disregards like who Amy is as a person and like what she values. And
the fact that she didn't get on a plane and come home like the second the kid
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just, it feels like it just tries to introduce just any kind of drama, like just stir things up between Amy and Ty without really being like well thought out.
It also ruins things with Amy and Georgie as well.
Yes,
Georgie takes
exactly.
the whole episode really hard.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It frigs their relationship up badly. I don't know why I refrained from swearing there.
Yeah, and I think I put, too, that, like, of course Amy is allowed, I mean, don't cheat on people, but, like, in the concept of reality, and in the reality of, like, relationships and stuff, of course, Amy is allowed to have feelings for someone other than Ty, which I think is what the writers are, like, trying to, like, concoct almost.
I think
that
they
like
already tried to do this in season 4.
Which
bad.
they've already done. That's such a great point too.
Because the
they've
Chase
already
Powers
done it.
thing on Amy's side and then the Blair thing on the Ty side was like all of season 3 and 4 basically. And like the whole thing was we're going to be attracted to other people, but let's never do this particular thing again. And then Amy just like does the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, of course she's allowed to, I mean, I get it that, okay, the writers want to like cause some drama between Amy and Ty, like try to make it interesting.
Draw their wedding out for another season so that they don't get married at the end of the season.
Exactly. But I don't think that Prince Ahmed is someone that she would have feelings for or like relate to in any way at all. Like what really, I mean, what would they talk about? I mean, what would they relate to, like besides horses? But
it also forced Amy to have to like put a limitation. Like she was doing really good work, and like I think she actually liked what she was doing with Prince Ahmed on the business end. And I think
exactly.
It's stupid that the writers are like, we should frig this up with a relationship thing because like she had to basically just say like, this is the whole part of my career I can't do now. Like, I have to quit this whole half of my career.
Exactly. He's just overall, like, Prince Ahmed's just, like, not a likable character, and we're kind of set up to dislike him from the beginning, and this, like, the relationship between them just kind of, you can see it coming from a mile away, and I remember just wanting to just drag my feet, just like,
it was that slow motion car wreck, like,
exactly,
you can't look away, it's happening
like, I want to see what happens,
and you can't prevent it.
And, I mean, I think by this point, this is season 8, and, I mean, you kind of have to know in your heart that Amy and Ty are gonna, like, end up together. Like,
they've
there's so much stake.
They've been engaged for a whole season and
exactly. There's so much stake in this relationship. It's like, why are you even doing this? Like, I know it's not gonna last. We don't even like this guy. Why do we even care about this guy? And why would Amy even care about him at all?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then my last point is this is probably one of the worst, if not the worst storyline that Heartland have ever tried to throw at us.
It's bad.
It's really bad.
Also, it's so sad because Amy and Ty like break up at the end of the episode because of the kissing that happened.
I know.
And they play "Say Something" by
I remember that.
It was like really popular song at the time too.
It's like Great Big World or something.
I want to say that's right. Yeah, and like it's
a Great Big World. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the song over the breakup was like just tears.
So sad. So sad. And okay, let's tug at the viewer's heartstrings by, breaking up Amy and Ty, but like, then I just remember being mad. Like, this is just stupid. Don't break up, just stay together. It's just annoying. Yeah.
I think Ty was justified in that breakup, though.
Totally.
Yeah,
and I think that
Absolutely.
they did a lot of work during that breakup on each other and, like, on themselves.
Yeah.
They came out of that breakup better. If they'd just gotten married, I think their relationship wouldn't be as great as it is now, but also, like, it was just infuriating to watch it happen.
Yeah, like, the idea of why they broke, like, the actual storyline of Prince Ahmed and that whole situation just made me mad, because I'm like, that would never even happen. Like, please stop.
No. But they could have broken up for some other reason. And,
Exactly.
And then done all that work and stuff that they had to do. It was just like the whole way we got to them breaking up again was dumb.
Yeah, it just seemed not well written.
I don't love that.
But yeah, Moira, you can go ahead, because I can talk about this forever.
Did you pick Lisa?
Yeah, I did. It was season 8, episode 4, about Prince Ahmed.
Wow. Oh, wow. I love you so much.
Because I just hate the Prince Ahmed thing. That was my exact premises.
Is that like
that's where he confesses his love to Amy.
Yes.
Yeah, he won't.
They do that, and Ty and Ahmed get in a fight and all this stuff.
Yeah, Ty punched a prince.
That was on the list. That was on the list,
Why?
but I didn't put it as my least favorite, because at least, like, she doesn't, like, reciprocate it, at least, I guess. But tell us why we hate this episode.
Just literally everything you said, because I picked an episode that was, like, very Prince Ahmed heavy, and, like, it was just sitting there watching it, like, hurt my soul. Because it's gross, and I don't like it. I never liked Prince Ahmed, even the moment he was introduced. Even when they tried to make him a nice person for, like, those random episodes.
Yeah, for, like, 5 minutes, yeah.
See, I'd like to come back. Like, I didn't hate Prince Ahmed off the bat. Apparently, I didn't know. I was in the minority here. For example, like, there's the episodes where Amy gets hurt, and I feel like that's honestly probably where all this bullshit that we're talking about started. But it doesn't present itself super heavily in those episodes. But, like, he really is like, oh, like, this is a person I'm starting to care about as, like, a friend. And, like, we just really get the impression that, you know, as a prince, he doesn't have a lot of actual friends.
Right.
And, like, but also, like, as, like, a responsible employer, like, he's, like, firing people that are responsible for the accident. And he's taking care of her medical, like, bills, even though they're, I mean, I imagine they're, like, extensive-ish for Canada. Because, you know, she has some pretty extensive injuries. But also, like, we have a lot less medical bills here in Canada than
very true.
And, like, in that episode, like, he is just, like, cares about her in, like, a employer/friend kind of way.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just, like, this bad thing happened on my property, and, like, we're gonna make sure that it's fine, and we're gonna make sure it's resolved, and, like, obviously he cares, but he's also very respectful of Amy's, like, family. Yeah. Like, when they're, like, family only, he actually leaves, even though he's a prince, and I imagine a prince can just go, I'm staying. If I was a prince, that's what I would do.
I mean, I don't know. I think that he was never, like, set up enough to, like...
for that?
Yeah. But I think we didn't get enough, like, real backstory and, like, set up to like him before he started in with all this Amy stuff.
And, like, we've just done this, like, rich person that feels entitled. Like, we've never had an actual prince before, but we've had enough rich people that feel entitled to Amy's help. And then, like...
So it not only feels like it not only feels like we've done this before, but then it also, like, adds in that really, like, hokiness of, like, he's a prince and, like, he wants to shower Amy, this girl from a small town, with gifts and stuff. It's just like, just stop. Like, please stop.
Gross.
So that's our least favorite episodes.
Yeah.
And basically our least favorite storylines to boot.
Yeah,
for sure.
I've been rewatching, but I'm only rewatched up to, like, almost season 5, I guess. Or maybe, like, almost season 6, I can't remember now. But I think if I had rewatched the Ahmed stuff more recently, I would also have picked something from that vein.
Yeah.
But, like, when I was like, oh, like, what episodes did I know? Like, the first thing that came to mind was, like, oh, yeah, that episode where Caleb's an addict and everybody's, like, fine with it, or until they're absolutely not fine with it, and then they're just jerks about it.
Yeah, that is a
I totally agree. Yeah. So, next characters, I guess. We're going to talk about characters again? Yeah.
So, my next character that I'm going to talk about is Jack Bartlett, played by Sean Johnson.
Ah!
Amazing.
I love!
So, Grandpa Jack, he's lived on the ranch his whole life. So, he's basically the grounding figure in the family. He keeps everyone together and tries to keep them working as one collective family. And he runs the ranch part of the ranch. Where, like, he's doing cattle and, like, the cleaning and all that fun stuff. While Amy does the horses part.
Mm-hmm.
He's, like, basically the epitome of, like, family values and the belief in all that stuff. And was always upset that we never got too much backstory of Jack.
Yeah.
And then this season, when we got the June storyline, I was, like, so excited, but, like, also crying.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been so long since the show was, like, on that, like, I can't believe that was this season.
No, I know. Totally.
But you're right. It ended in November. But yeah, I love Jack with my whole heart.
Yeah, he's a really likable character. One of my favorites for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that all you have?
Yeah. That's all I got for them.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off or anything. Okay, well, I can go next.
Okay.
I have Ty.
Who we've talked about a lot, considering we haven't introduced
so much.
Yeah, literally. A very major one. He's portrayed by Graham Wardle. So, Tyler Ty Borden was abused by his stepfather Wade growing up. He is sent to juvie after attacking Wade to protect his mother Lily from him. He is then sent to Heartland for his probation to work and then ends up staying, which is how we're introduced to him, is when he comes to Heartland. This is where he meets his future wife Amy and becomes a huge part of the family. He develops really strong relationships with Jack and of course with Amy, and just gets to know, and him and Mallory's relationship is really cute too. Mallory kisses him at one point in front of everybody. It's like he's such a great
scene.
Yeah, totally.
Best friends.
Yes. Yes. Their dynamic, Ty and Caleb's, is so great too, because Caleb will have one of his like ridiculous ideas and Ty will be like, what are you actually doing? Like, what is happening? You're crazy.
Or more infuriatingly, he won't do that. And then
or won't do that. Yeah. He grows immensely throughout all 13 seasons, from this 17-year-old kid with a huge grudge and something to prove, and obviously like traumatized from everything that he's been through, into this really hardworking 29. I think that when I looked it up, it said he's 29, but I guess he'd be 30 because 17 plus 13. But anyways, this hardworking husband and now father that he is now, he throughout the seasons finishes his high school education online because he had dropped out. He attends the University of Calgary and eventually gets his vet qualifications, which is a career that I think suits him immensely well. Just growing up. Well, I guess he was 17 by the time he comes to Heartland, but he has always, cared about animals and been able to relate to animals, I think, and he's such an empathetic character, too. Him and Amy are absolutely one of the best ships in any show, not just in Heartland. Yeah. They balance each other out so well, and I think from the beginning, it's just, like, for the viewers, it's like a feeling that you have from the beginning that they're going to end up together, even when they break up or they date other people. They balance each other out, him and Amy, so much. I think they both have this innocence, even though Ty's been through so much. They both have this innocence about them almost. They're very similar, and despite their ups and downs, they're a beautiful couple with a beautiful toddler. He cares immensely about those around him and has worked very hard to grow into the person that he is today, making him obviously a major fan favorite and giving him a really huge place in all of our hearts as fans of the show.
For sure. Oh my god, he's so cute with Lily.
Yes. Oh my gosh, he's such a great dad, and he's got so much development throughout all the seasons.
Even more than that, I really like to see when he's, like, mentoring kids like Badger and Tara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Luke. I love his relationship with Luke.
Yeah, and Luke for sure. Yeah, he's one character, I think, that you can see that he's really, truly grateful for all that he has, and he never forgets, like, where it came from.
Alright, so I am going to talk about Lisa. So, Lisa Stillman is Jack's wife. She's not a super main character, which is crazy.
Yeah, by now.
She's been on the show since episode 3.
Yeah.
Like, season 1, episode 3 was her first episode. So she's been on the show longer than a lot of other characters. So she's she starts out like, I mean, yes, she's a horse breeder, and she's a really great businesswoman. She really loves traveling. She has a second home in France, so she spends a lot of time in France. She doesn't have any children of her own, but she came into Jack's life pretty shortly after the death of his daughter, and even though Lou was an adult and, like, Amy was in her teens, Lisa is, like, really thrilled to act as, like, a maternal figure for both of them.
Yeah, totally.
She's very respectful of Jack's first wife that had passed away long before the show, and his daughter who has passed away. Like, she's always very clear she doesn't want to replace anybody. She can be a little bit pushy and sometimes oversteps her boundaries, but it's always, like, with her heart in the right place.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to bother Amy so much, but, like, Lou always needs to be in control.
Always. Yeah.
Is also a little bit overbearing, and they sometimes clash pretty tremendously. But I really respect Lisa's independence. She clearly loves Jack, but, like, she doesn't want to compromise her job or her hobbies or doing the things that she loves for her relationship. Like, Jack doesn't really like to travel, so Lisa just travels on her own, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And they get married, and then I can't remember when they get married. I want to say it's, like, probably season 6 or 7, but I can't remember exactly, and I forgot to look it up before we started recording. And they're married for several seasons before Lisa moves in. Like, Lisa only very recently actually moved into the ranch with Jack. They've been married for a while, but I think that's really fun, and I think that's nice. Yeah. That they've maintained their independence quite a lot. Because, you know, they're adults, and they don't, like, they find companionship and love and happiness with each other, but, like, also they're totally fine. Like,
yeah, totally.
Being separate and
they
independent.
have their own people.
Yeah, they've both already been through all the traditional, you know, get married, have a honeymoon, move in, like, all that, so.
Yeah, and, like, Jack's wife died, and Lisa's divorced from her husband, who's a dick, and...
Yes, very much.
And yeah, they love each other, and it's nice. And so she's portrayed by Jessica Steen, and her character is godmother to both Katie and apparently Georgie, even though it's never actually mentioned on the show, according to Lou's blog. And she seems really happy to help out with Lindy, too. So, like, she's really enjoying her role as, like, great-grandparent.
Yeah.
Also, she looks fabulous for someone who's a great-grandparent.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know how old Lisa is. She just seemed like she's somewhat younger than Jack, but, like,
it always mentioned that she's younger than Jack, but never a ballpark.
Yeah, we don't have any ballpark idea. But, she's beautiful. And she just seems to, like, really enjoy the family, even though they aren't always the most welcoming to her. Like, she just really seems to love the family. I feel like Amy's a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, Amy and Lisa, even in the beginning, have some really sweet moments.
Yeah, for sure.
They really do.
Yeah, and I wish that Jack and Lisa's wedding would have had a little bit more...
Yeah, they eloped, like, so they didn't have a big wedding.
Yeah, because we didn't even really get, like... vows really at all, because that was gonna be my favorite episode, and I rewatched it, and it's kind of like happening, they cut back and forth between Jack and Lisa's wedding and Amy in, like, competing.
Right.
I think they're doing some kind of, like,
important going on.
Yeah, really important. Like, there's high stakes, and I think some kind of barrel racing. I can't even remember, even though I watched it literally yesterday, or some kind of jumping. Anyways, so you don't really get... I mean, Tim is there, but I digress. She looks beautiful, is my point, and it's such a beautiful moment, and I really like their relationship.
Wish we could have focused on it a little bit more.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I wish they would have had, like, vows and a beautiful, like, moment actually.
I think Lisa is one of, like, the most underrated characters on the show.
Yeah.
Like, she's been around, and she's not always around, and, like, she has, like, long periods where she's, like, gone, or, like, not having anything major, or, like, she just comes by to, like, have coffee or something, and, like...
Or babysit Lindy,
but then, like,
or...
a season or two ago, she was gone for, like, the whole season.
Yeah.
She was, like, in France, and, like, there was stuff happening, and you're like, if Lisa was here, and nobody would be putting up with this bullshit. Like, Lisa would have taken care of this already.
And she has a lot of patience.
We really did miss her.
Yeah, totally. And I think she has a lot of patience, too, for the way that Lou treats her sometimes. I know Lou has said some really nasty things to her, but she, you know, forgives her.
She also mediates between Jack and Tim quite a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah.
Like, a lot.
Yeah, has definitely, I think... saved Tim from being punched like quite a few times by talking Jack down. Yeah, she's a great character. Definitely underrated.
And also by going to Tim and like making him less awful.
Yeah, just trying.
Not so much awful. Awful is not really the right word. Less like over the top.
Yeah, for sure.
Reins him in a little bit and then sends him back to Jack.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Ed and KJ here, and I just want to let you know that this recording went super long. We had a lot to say about Heartland, and we are by no means done. So we have split this episode up into 2 episodes, but there's no need to wait. Part B is going to be available right now. You don't need to wait for it. We got you covered. All right, so go check out Part B for the rest of our Heartland coverage right now.
So you can find us at A Series of Opinions Pod on Tumblr and Instagram, and Series of Opinion without an S on Twitter. You can find me at Moira_Frisk on everything.
You can find me at Miss Faith Ann across everything, and at Faith Ann Art for all of my art things.
And you can find me at Life Messes of KJ everywhere.
This episode was written, produced, and recorded by us, and it was edited by me, editing KJ. Our logo is by Faith Ebert at Miss Faith Ann Art, and we will be back next week with more episodes.
Bye!
Bye!
Bye! Thanks for listening. Goodbye!